My guest tonight is known for his films such as Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Freaked, Downloaded, and his newest film, Deep Web, which was recently screened at the St. Louis Film Festival and won the Charles Guggenheim Award. Ladies and gentlemen, actor, writer, and director Alex Winter.
There's people out there.
There's people.
Okay.
These are real.
There's real people.
They're real. We made them real.
Nobody told me that.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I neglected to mention that.
All right. Okay, good.
Thanks for coming on the show,
Thank
Alex.
you.
Thanks for being
having
here.
me.
I recently watched Deep Web. I found it extremely fascinating. Just a background for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's about Silk Road, the Deep Web. Would you call it a website?
It was a black market.
Black
online,
market.
on the internet, in a hidden corner of the internet.
Yeah, and Ross Ulbricht was arrested for kind of being what was thought to be the mastermind behind it.
Yeah.
For selling these drugs or being the person who's kind of set it up to make it feasible. That's not a spoiler, by the way, because that was in the news.
Yeah, it was.
So, so if you're like, oh, you spoiled the movie, that was like in Time magazine.
It was, yeah.
So just your opinion, like he got life in jail, is that?
Yeah, he got 2 life sentences basically.
Yeah.
So he got life in prison without the possibility of parole for what was certainly, you know, the charges were very serious. They were, however, nonviolent. So it's a contentious case, to say the least.
Did you, when you were making the film, did you kind of have like an opinion one way or the other of like when that came down?
I mean, you know, certainly he did things that were against the law. There was no doubt there was criminality. But, you know, a 30-year-old who's facing potentially 50 years in jail is very intense. So the family is working on an appeal. And there's just also the emotionality of I had more access than anybody else had. So to be that close to a federal criminal trial where someone's facing that kind of, and the family's dealing with it. It was very, very intense.
Yeah, it was. I mean, just watching it, there's that tension and that suspense. Because even though you do know it, it gets tense. So the one thing that kind of came out of it was this community that was kind of born from it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of taking drugs kind of off the streets and mailing it instead. Yeah. Is that something you feel like is a good thing, or is that something that, I mean?
Well, again, it's really contentious.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for me as a filmmaker, you know, I'm never coming at these things like with a black and white attitude. Like, you know, I'm going to exonerate it, and I'm going to sort of, you know, pound the table and tell you this is great or it's evil. I really just want to present these very provocative, sort of contentious ideas that are going on in technology with the last 2 movies that I made, and let you make up your own mind. I think that there's no black and white when you're dealing with a lot of stuff going on in the digital revolution. It's very, very nuanced. And there are good things to what happened with the Silk Road, and there are bad things with what happened with the Silk Road. However, absolutely it reduced crime in the drug trade. That's just a statistical fact. Yeah. Does that mean that we should rally behind it? Not necessarily, but that is a fact.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it made me think like, well, I mean, like they're taking guns and stuff off the street, but it's also drugs. So it was tough.
Yeah.
So you did Deep Web, you did Downloaded. Do you think there's anything out there like with the social kind of internet, this bringing up these ideas and these questions? Is there anything else that's piquing your interest right now?
Well, I am really interested in evolution of online communities. I've been interested in that since they showed up, or since I really engaged with them in the 80s. I'm making a documentary about Frank Zappa. That's what I'm doing now.
Very cool. Yeah.
So in a weird way, you know, I'm getting into his politics and into you know who he was as a person, and it's the first time the family is granted permission to have access to his entire vault.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
it's a long, arduous, but wonderful project that I'm already kind of knee deep in, and that's the next thing I'm doing.
That's very cool. So that'll be your 3rd documentary.
That will be my 3rd documentary.
So, well, then I have to ask, because I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you.
Yeah. When I played Bill or Ted.
Yeah. Who were you? Who were you? I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. Don't
since
feel
you
bad.
came out, I was like,
my
who
mom
is this?
doesn't know.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So speaking of a 3rd film, as a child, I built a cardboard box, a refrigerator box. And my friend and I, we got in it, and we would shake it.
Did it work?
Well, when it fell over, we pretended like we were in the future.
Right.
So
okay.
I think it's
That's
so.
kind of how the movie was, because it wasn't an expensive movie, so it was pretty much what we did. It would fall over, and we would pretend we were in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Confirm it right now. We're running out of time.
Okay.
Bill and Ted 3, is it happening?
Yes or no? We are working on it. We are close. We have funding. We have a director. We have a script.
Give it up for Alex Winter one more time.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be back with Pokey Lafarge.